Hi guys, it's Tawney. If you're new here, thanks for checking out my channel. I typically film a lot of makeup content, so if you're interested in that, hit the subscribe button and the ring notification bell so you get notified when I upload my videos. I try to do a video a week, sometimes more than one video a week, but sometimes I lose inspiration and don't have sometimes I don't have the time to film a video, so that's why it's sometimes sporadic. But I do try and give you some content here and there, so that way you guys can keep up with me and see how things are going and see what kind of makeup I'm trying out this week. Today, I'm just going to do a get ready with me. We are going to a strawberry festival, and I have a very special product that I'm going to be using in honor of this. My Physicians Formula strawberry blush that I have not used yet. So we still have strawberries. I've seen all the TikToks and I really thought about making one, even though I'm not on TikTok. I'm on Instagram. I do the reels, which I know are not as good as like the regular TikToks, but to me, they're fine. That's all I need. But thought about making one where I was like, oh, and then, oh my gosh, look at the blush. But then I'm like, it's been done. You know, you see 2 videos and then you're like, oh my gosh. That's how it is with a lot of videos. I feel like everybody with a dog did the one where like, there's a puppy on the back of the couch. And I like finally told Instagram, please stop showing me videos with this audio. Like it was just too much. Couldn't do it. And same with the Lizzo song. I'm not the biggest Lizzo fan. And I don't know what it is. I have just never liked Lizzo since she came out with music. And I'm sorry if that offends you. I hope, it's just my personal preference. It's not that, she sucks or anything. But, I just don't really care for her. And her music's just not quite for me. About Damn Time is kind of, I can handle it. But it's just, the more I hear it, the less I like it. The whole song itself is fine. It's just that little part that they play on TikTok. I don't like that part. I went to a work party last night, and when we go to work parties, we drink. One woman brought a cooler because she had so much stuff to bring. She brought strawberry wine that we didn't try, and I'm very upset that I didn't because I have wanted to try strawberry wine for a while because strawberry is my favorite flavor. If I can find a drink, any drink that's strawberry themed is my go-to. The Seagram's wine coolers that are the strawberry daiquiri are my go-to. Those are my absolute favorite. So I brought a 4-pack of those, and then I brought the Jack Daniel's Southern Peach, because I had never tried those. I didn't know they made them, and when I was at the liquor store, they were, right beside the Down Home Punch, because I was like, well, I know I've had Down Home Punch, and it's, not my favorite, but I like it enough that, I can drink it, and I was like, oh, and they had watermelon and lemonade, and I'm not the biggest lemonade person, and I know one of my coworkers doesn't like, watermelon, so I was like, I'm not gonna get watermelon, even though usually when I bring that sort of thing, it's too tame for everyone else, because the one woman had made mojitos and she made them strong, and that's why I brought my own stuff so I could drive myself home without being drunk. And then another woman made jello shots, so I took those home because she usually makes them strong, and I'm like, people, I'm driving home. And I live 25 minutes from where my coworker's house is. So I'm like, I need to be able to make it that far without, hurting anybody, hurt myself. And that's always my biggest thing when I go out is can I actually drive? Don't let myself get to that point that I can't. And I also was chugging on the water, going to the bathroom. I even took a water bottle with me just in case I needed it on the ride home. But I ended up getting home at 11, and then I had stopped and got some snack food, fried crap, I just moisturized and put on my sunscreen. I use the CeraVe Hydrating Mineral Sunscreen with a 30 SPF. It's a sheer face tint, or however you say that. I've heard good things about this. I think somebody actually recommended it on YouTube or something, so that's why I got it. And then it's been pretty recommended on Reels and TikTok and YouTube and all of that, based on its ability to not get super oily and greasy, which is why I bought it. So I've been liking it so far. I think it's been working for me. I honestly can't tell if it's been working sunscreen wise. I just know that my face is tan and not burnt, and it lays well underneath makeup. and it like works really well on its own because I wear it a lot to work by itself, and it really doesn't provide any coverage whatsoever. Doesn't even change the color of my face because once I blend it out, then it just kind of blends into my skin, but it at least makes me feel like protected from the sun. So, which is the point because it's sunscreen. I just went in with the e.l.f. What is it called? The primer, the Power Grip Primer. This has been my like go-to primer lately, and it's funny because it's one of those primers that I wouldn't think would be my favorite, or I wouldn't like it that much, and like I bought it because I'm like trying out the hype, you know. And then I keep using it under foundations and I'm like, this is like the best primer ever. Like I have tried a lot of primers that I've liked. Like I really like the Rimmel Stay Matte primer. That had been like my favorite for years. When I first started putting on makeup and like actually knowing what I was putting on my face and how it looked, that was my go-to. And then I use some of the putty primers, but I feel like they don't work as well as like a full primer to me. And I know that the point of them is to fill in your pores, but like I used one once with a foundation and I just felt like my skin looked weird all day. And I don't know if it was maybe the combination of the foundation and the primer, but it just wasn't like the best. And then I have another one from e.l.f. that's similar to this, but I think this one's the better one. The other one that I have is it's the Cooling Mint Primer. And I think it's okay, but I don't think it's nearly as good as the Power Grip Primer. I think I'm going to use the Maybelline Dream Urban Cover. It looks like this. I'm in the shade 112 Natural Ivory, and it has a SPF of 50, so that's nice, because I will be outside most of the day. We are going out of town like a good 45 minutes away, so that's out of town for us. We're going to a different state, technically, so that's definitely out of town. But we're going to a strawberry festival that they're having, because we had gone to a peach festival like an hour away. I think it was over an hour away last year. We just like found out, we're like, hey, let's go try it out. And they were selling peaches and they had different things to try, like different food vendors. And we got some really good barbecue from like a random, you know, food truck that they had. And then there was a jewelry store that had a wine tasting that you could go and taste like little cups of wine. And I tried like some of the best peach wine I've ever had in my life there. So I ended up buying a bottle at like $16. They were like around 15 each, but mine I think was more expensive. Like there were two that were more expensive. And of course I had to pick the one that was, which was not a big deal because it was like $1 more. And I'm willing to pay that. But, and it was like some of the best wine ever. So I'm like, I have high expectations for the Strawberry Festival in hopes that I can, even if we don't do like a wine tasting, that they'll have like strawberry wine. But I'm not quite getting my hopes up because they're making it seem very like kid oriented almost, like not quite like for kids, the whole thing, but a lot of kid activities. And it kind of worries me that like we're just going to get stuck with like strawberry lemonade and like dumb stuff that's just not like, I want adult stuff, okay? I'm 26 years old. I want to be able to enjoy that sort of thing now. Like, I'm well past my kid/teen years, you know? I've been making some pretty hefty life decisions lately, and I'm feeling a little overwhelmed about the whole thing. So I have my master's in social work. So I am an MSW. And that's great. And I worked really hard for that. I was in school for like 24 years because I graduated in 2020. So like 24 years of my life, 25 years, something like that. I was in school continuously. I never took a year off. I never took a semester off. I kept plowing through the whole time. I was constantly taking classes, constantly learning things, blah, blah, blah. Well, I got my diploma and my degree and everything, and I was like, great. Now this will give me an upper hand, and I'll be able to like get a really good job, and I'll be able to make some money, because in social work, you don't make a whole lot of money. You have to be like a supervisor, director, or you have to work in like a really hard field, doing really difficult things, like almost like you're like a researcher kind of a thing, it makes me think. At least where I'm at, that's what it seems like. And so it was like getting my master's technically like really did nothing. It was just like another degree I tacked on. And it was like, okay, well, I'm at this point that I want a good paying job so I can start a family, buy a house, save for my retirement, save my money just for like emergencies and stuff. And I don't feel like I'm at that point right now. And where I work at right now, I make a couple dollars over minimum wage. And like my state's minimum wage is pretty decent. It's not $15 an hour, but it's pretty decent compared to like West Virginia's minimum wage is like $8. We are like almost doubled that. Like we're a little under 15. I don't want to exactly say what it is, but like we're getting close to it, and I'm like just over 15. So I'm like, I need to get someplace that's either going to keep moving my pay up or at least like starts paying more, because like I don't want to end up at a job that makes the same as minimum wage, because what's keeping me at my job when I could just go work at like McDonald's or Burger King or something like that, even though I hate that kind of work. I could never. My boyfriend does fast food, and it like stresses me out to think about how fast he's like constantly working and like how hard he actually works at his job. And I know it doesn't like seem like it's that bad, but like he's like multitasking. Like I'll go through the drive-thru. The drive-thru is what stresses me out the most. I'll go through the drive-thru, and as he's ringing me out and handing me my food, he's waiting on somebody else. And I'm just like, I can't even process this right now, and I'm not even doing anything. I'm going to go in with the L'Oreal Infallible Full Wear Concealer. I am in the shade 325. So it just kind of like has me thinking I need to take another step. And I'm like, where I'm at, there's not really much upward mobility. And I had thought about taking a job where I would be in charge of the childcare room, which we do a lot of like development and things, like we teach a lot of stuff. We're not quite like a Montessori, but like it kind of to me feels like it would lean in that direction, I guess. Like we read books to them each day, we play with them, we do activities that kind of stimulate their growth and development, blah, blah, blah. And I thought about taking over the supervisor position for that room, so I wouldn't be the teacher, but I would be like the teacher's boss. And that to me felt like a big step in my career, like I was going to be taking steps forward. But then my boss told me the pay is less than what you make now, so we're just going to switch your pay and you'll keep making your same amount of money. And I was like, I have a master's degree. I've been here for 4 years. I want money. I want to get paid for my master's degree. Since I got a raise since I was there, the 4 years, but only because our overhead company, so like we have a funder that like manages our money, and then we have our like head company. So the head company's here, the funder is here, and we're down here. And the funder company was like, hey, you need to pay your employees. Here's a raise that you can give them. So I got a raise that's like a set in stone. It's never going to change, thank goodness. And that was great and that was like right when I first started. So I'm like, great, I'm making money, I'm getting raises, this is a great company to work for, I'm set. I can be here for a couple years until I either don't like it, get further, move up in my education, whatever. Well, then it kind of dawned on me that the raises weren't coming like I thought they would be. It kind of just like, it was like an overwhelming like wave of this thought that like, we don't get raises consistently. So I was just like, clearly I need to either get out or look for get a higher position, whatever. And I thought about applying for this position until my boss had told me the stuff about the money. And I was like, well, what's the point in taking a higher up position if I'm not going to be making anything different? And I'm like, yeah, that's great because it'll give me more experience and allow me to do more. And it'll give me a job that like, I feel like I actually want to do. But I'm like, when I'm not going to be making any more money, why even bother doing that? Why not just leave and find something else that's going to start it, like something different with different mobility, like chances within the company and things like that. So it kind of was like, well, I'm going to look for something else. So I've been telling my coworkers that I'm like kind of thinking about stuff, and they're like, well, you're young, so you can get, you can dip your toe into something new, you can try for something different. Like some of us that are like older, like I have a lot of coworkers that are like in their 40s, 50s, in that range, that are still looking for new work. They're like, we're looking for something that's like retirement worthy, but you could be looking for something that's a little bit more like your future worthy. And I was like, well, that's a nice thought to think about, because then it gives me a chance that if I don't even like that, I can move on from there and find something else after that. Which I think that's the whole point of having a job, is just like, try it. If you don't like it, you go somewhere else, or you ask for a different position within the company, which that's what I read. I was like in 2020, like a year after I started, feeling burnout from my job. And that was mainly due to having to stay home and not being able to see my clients, not having much contact with them. Some of them didn't want me to contact them during the when we were stuck at home, so it really made it hard for me to actually be in touch with them, keep up with them, do all that sort of thing. So I just went in with the Rimmel Stay Matte Powder, and I'm going to go in with the e.l.f. Primer Infused Bronzer in Forever Sun-Kissed. And I was just like, I need to know, like, how I can make this a better experience for me. And they're like, well, try and find a different position within the company so you don't have to leave it, but you can find something else that you might like to do. Well, then it hit me. Every position's already full, or anything that's open is a part-time, lower than me position. So I would end up having to take like a huge decrease in pay, a huge decrease in hours, which would make the pay even less worth it because then I'm making even less money because I'm only working 29 hours a week. And it was just like everything that was happening was just like screaming at me that this is just not it. And I've held out, and I'm really trying to keep holding out because supposedly there's going to be changes within the company and they're going to give us more money, but it's only for the year. So then I'm thinking, well, what happens after the year's up? So it's like, I don't want to stick around for a whole year waiting on change to happen for it to expecting this change to last, and then it doesn't, and then we're back to square one or even below that after that year's up. So it's kind of had me thinking. So I was talking to one of my coworkers that she's like our secretary, I guess. And I was like, I've been thinking about getting my license, because once you're at your master's level for social work, you can go and get your licensure, and then you will have, like, you'll be an LMSW or I think you can even be an LGSW, or it gets confusing after you get your MSW because everything is just tacking on extra stuff. It changes. It's just like, okay, here we go. We're going to go in with the blush. I had that. Oh my gosh, I knew this was going to happen, and it did. And I can't believe they did that to us. Look at that. You can even see, I'm afraid to blow it because I'm afraid it'll yeah, it took even more. Oh my gosh. Well, now I know everybody had this reaction because I had the same reaction. I knew it was going to happen, and it still caught me off guard. Okay, let's see if that's any good. Oh my gosh. Okay, we're going to start over here now. Oh my gosh. This is intense, bro. Oh my gosh. I think I need to go back in with my powder. This is a lot. I've never had my blush look that intense. Not that right away. This is even too intense for me. I don't know how to deal with this. This is a lot. Okay, my nose looks good. It looks nice and sun-kissed, and we're going to go back in with our powder brush, and we're going to blend the heck out of this. So I had talked to my coworker about going back for my licensure, taking the exam. And, when you take the licensure, you have to pay to keep it continuously. You have to take CEUs, blah, blah, blah. And I was, fully prepared for that. It's just one of those, further down the road, but it's not that far. It's not that bad. So I was just like, I'm thinking about doing that. My old coworker that used to work with me where I work now, she had worked there when she got her master's, and then up until March or so. And then she got a job at the hospital being a crisis worker. And she's like, I think you'd like it. I think you should try to come out here. I don't know if it's for me because crisis stuff is very heavy. And I thought I could handle it a couple years ago until I realized exactly what crisis was. And this is dealing with a lot of people that have mental illnesses and very life crippling, I don't want to say diseases, but things going on that would cause a lot of issues for them. I'm trying to say this as politely as I can, but I don't know how to describe it without saying these words. This is actually looking really nice. I actually really like this. I like the way it looks lifted over here. I can see it a little bit, but I think without my pimples, it would look a little better. Okay, now that we've got it all blended out, that's a nice blush. I really like that. That's very nice. My blush has not looked this nice for a long time. Now I'm going to go in with the Revlon Skin Lights Highlighter. So I was just in order to find a job that I might potentially I could actually make good money at, I need to get my license. I need to take that step, take the exam, and get that extra like for myself, for my career path, for a chance to start a family, to get a house, to save some money. Like, this is the step I need to take. And it's very overwhelming. And I'm still so like anxious about the whole process, mainly because, well, part of the reason, I wouldn't say mainly, part of the reason is because when you go to get your licensure, at least in the state I'm in, you have to pay to be like, you have to pay to say, hey, I want to take the exam. Then once they say, hey, you can take the exam, I'm pretty sure you have to pay again. It seems like every step of this process you have to pay something, because my coworker was telling me all about how much money she actually had to like put toward it and stuff. And she was just like, it's so ridiculous how like every little thing you have to pay for. It's like you have to pay to say you're going to take the test. So you have to pay for like the acceptance of this thing or whatever, or like the application. Then you have to pay for the practice exam if you want to take that online, which my coworker said really helps because it puts you in the mindset of what this exam is. So you know what you're going to go into when you take the exam, which is a pretty hefty process in itself. And then she said, then if you want any study materials, such as like a book or like any kind of like reading resources, you have to pay for those as well. And it all comes out of your pocket. They don't reimburse you once you pass this test or whatever. You're putting like, it's basically you're paying for yourself and your future and your goals and everything like that, which I guess is like a good thing. But to me, it just kind of is just like, ugh, why? Like, do I really have to, you know? But, whatever. So, that just seems dumb to say. So, then, once you go to take the test, I think you have to pay again or something, I think. And then, when you take the exam, you have to go to, like, a big city where they have, like, an exam center or something. And then my friend said, you have to lock up your phone. You have to like lock up everything. They check all your glasses, your clothes to make sure you're not going to cheat within the test, which like sends me into a panic, even though I don't cheat at all. It just freaks me out because I'm just like, that's just so overwhelming. And then the test is like 3 to 4 hours. And then she said she found out right away. But whenever a friend of mine took it a couple years ago, she didn't find out until she got a letter in the mail, which I like finding out sooner. So then you can like, you're already anxious enough. Like, so it just, the whole process has me nervous, but my friend did it and passed it. And I don't want to compare myself to her because like, I think she's a lot smarter than I am. But then she's like, I can tell you're smart and you know what you're doing. I think you should take it because I think you'll pass it. So I know that if I were to tell her, hey, I'm going to take it, she might help me study. And I have like a good bit of friends that would actually help me like work toward that and help me pass it because like they want to see me move forward. So that's a really good feeling and like a thought that like I have my squad backing me up and everything. So I am thinking about doing it. I'm like leaning toward it because a lot of the jobs that I want to apply for and that I think I'd be good to do, I have to have a degree like that. So I'm thinking about applying for some jobs and then because it says like you must have the potential to take the exam or to have your license, which I think is what that means. I just use the e.l.f. Putty Eye Primer to prime my eyelids. And I don't know what palette I'm going to use today. It's always a struggle when it comes to doing my makeup. Never know what I'm going to use. But, so I think I might go in, like apply for some jobs and tell them like, look, I'm going to go for it, but I'm just like, I haven't started the process yet. And they'll be like, well, usually they give you 6 months. Whenever you apply for a job that you need to have the requirement, they'll give you 6 months to pass it, which I think would be enough time to go through the process of applying. And then you get your, like you do the practice stuff. And I think even if I were to take it early, it would give me a chance that if I were to fail, I could still take it. Because I'd hate to be fired from my job because I couldn't pass the test to get my license. And it's one of those, I feel like I'm just dooming myself, like doom and gloom and whatever. But like, that's where my mind goes. I catastrophize or whatever the word is. It's a psychology word where you just like think the worst of everything. I think I'm going to go in with my Natasha Denona Glam palette. I use this palette a lot more than I ever thought I would. To be honest with you, I bought it and like, I like cool palettes, but whenever I go to use them, I realize I don't like them on my eyes. And part of me is like, maybe you should have got a warm palette. So then that way you could actually like enjoy what you're using, even though the colors of the palette are like attract me to the palette. That makes sense. So I'm like heavily leaning in that direction, but it has me so nervous. And change is one of those things that really like makes me anxious. Like it's one of those things that's like it's almost debilitating. And I hate to feel that way because it's such like a dumb thing, but it like seriously is how I feel. Like when I asked my boss a question about like who's going to be sitting where at our desks and like how is the layout of the office is going to look like at work, because we have 3 women that are leaving slash have just left and whatever. Like they're one left, one's leaving, and one's like going to be leaving. So they're all in like the process. We all know they're leaving. That's basically like we know it's going to happen. They've already said there's no ifs, ands, or buts. They're going. And so I was like, well, what's the office going to look like? And she's like, we're going to move people around. And it has just sat on my chest. And I'm just like, no, I like my office. I like sharing it with somebody who does what I do. Right now, I share it with one of the men that work with us. And we don't have too many men that work at our place because, you know, social work is typically women. And especially what we do with teen moms, it's typically women. But we have 2 men that work at the company. And one of them uses the office that I'm in like once in a while. I don't care for him. That's just my personal opinion, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. And I'm like, my last coworker, who's like one of my best friends, that we got along so well together. She had been in the office with me, and we would, you know, shoot ideas off of each other. We would ask each other questions about how to do our job. Like if I needed help with something to help a client, she would know the answer to it. Like she was so good at that. And that's what I miss most about her, like aside from like her personality and stuff. But it's just that like she knew so much about how to do the job that she helped me do my job better. And that's like the type of employee you need to have, like the coworker you need to have. And sorry, I lost my train of thought. And the new girl that took her position isn't quite up to that standard yet. I don't think she like has enough experience like my last coworker did, but I can see that like she can get there. So that's all that matters. It's just that you can reach it, because if you can't reach it, then like why are you here? But she's in a whole nother office now, and I'm like, I'd like to share it with somebody who's going to be doing basically what I do. Like she's going to work with a different group of people, like a different set of families, but she's going to be doing like home visits and talking to the families and helping them find jobs and housing and like basically what I'm doing, but just on a different scale. And like my boss is like, no, we'll put her in a different office and put her in a different place. And it's like, no, I want her with me so we can shoot ideas off of each other and help each other do our jobs. Like she needs to know how to do her job because this is like her first big time job doing like hefty things. And I'm like, you can't go into it blind. So it's a whole thing. It's just a whole big thing. I'm doing the exact same look I did last night. I used the ABH Sultry palette and I did like a really nice brown smoky eyed look. And I wore a shirt similar to this last night to go to my work party. And I guess my mind's just gravitating toward that. It was very grunge themed because the shirt I was wearing was like darker than this. Even though I like don't come across very grungy. Even though it's my favorite type of music. But, okay, we're going to brighten it up a little bit. But, yeah, so it just kind of like, the whole thing is just, I've been thinking about it so much, and I'm like, if I'm thinking about it this much, I need to do it. I need to take those steps and do it and put that, like, plan into motion so that I can get a better job, make more money, and just feel better about myself. Because when you stay in a stagnant position for too long, it just makes you feel like you're not good enough, and you're not doing enough, and you're not, like, being enough as a employee and a professional and a career person and things like that. So I'm really hoping that this all works out and I follow through with it. And, you know, I'm just hoping it goes well, because that's just like, that's the biggest thing. It's just, I just want it to go. I just want it to like all work out the way it's like in my mind working out and just be all hunky-dory. I just love to find a job where I love what I do and I love the people I work with and I feel like I'm in a good place in my life, and also a place where I'm making good money so that I can provide for my future. Oh my gosh, can you see that booger that's hanging out of my nose? I hope not. Okay, it's better. Okay, I have to say one thing about this palette, and I've had this palette for like a while now. These are the best shimmers I think I have ever used. I'm not a Natasha Nona like lover. I'm not like a huge fan. This is the only Natasha Nona palette I have. But I think those shimmers are like, they blend the best, or the creamiest. They look the nicest on the eyes. I love ColourPop because ColourPop's like my go-to formula. That's like my #1 formula. But Natasha Nona, man, $65. She's hitting it. She's doing it. Okay, just use the Milani Make It Last original setting powder. I had this for the longest time, and then I kept seeing it pop up, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, it's the best. And I'm like, I used it a long time ago, and I thought it was just okay. But then I was like, well, let me get it again and try it, and like see now that I actually have like a good, like, I know what I'm talking about when it comes to makeup and stuff. I at least know what I like. That's the thing. I know my preferences. I was like, let me try it now. And I was like, I actually really like this. Yesterday I used the MAC Fix Plus, and I have like a tiny little bit of my Morphe Continuous Setting Spray. I'm like using that all till it's up because I'm not buying it after I use it up. So I'm like using the last little bit I have. I use those together, and my makeup looked great later on. Because they say that, okay, we're going to go in with the Falsies Lash Lift from Maybelline. They say that the MAC Fix Plus is just a finishing spray and not a setting spray. So it's not going to make your makeup last all day. And I was like, well, that's what I need. That's why I like wear setting sprays, is to make my makeup last. So I was like, well, I guess I need to use that as a finishing spray and then put a setting spray on top of it. So that's what I did. And I was like, well, that's a good combination. But I don't know how much longer I can keep doing that since I don't have much left of the Morphe spray. That looks nice. My lashes always look nice, and then I go out in public and I'm like, where's my lashes? I can't see my lashes. It's one of those, with the lighting and the camera and my mirror right here at this desk, it makes my lashes look like amazing, and then I go out in public and they just like disappear. It's like I left them here. And I don't use false lashes, so I need my my mascara to do the job of a false lash. I wish my lashes looked as nice as Allie Glines here on YouTube. Her eyelashes are like the best. I always thought mine looked like hers, and then it dawned on me one day that mine are not that nice. Like, she'll post videos, and like her thumbnail will have like the final picture, and you could see her lashes in the thumbnail. And I feel like when I like smile or like do anything, like right now, can you tell I have eyelashes? No. But when I look up close, I'm like, oh my gosh, my eyelashes. In the mirror, they look great. They look like I actually have lashes. And I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. She just like knows what she's doing. She's so talented. That's what I have to say. She's just so talented. What lip product do I want to use? I always want to use products that will like last and not move and like transfer, but like none of mine are that transfer proof. And I think the main problem though that I have with a lot of mine, they don't dry down fast enough. I'm gonna go in with the Maybelline Superstay Matte Ink liquid lipstick in Seductress. Is my most used, as you can tell, is my favorite. I have like multiples of these. I have one lip product. I forget what brand it is. Oh, crap. I am messing up my lips now. I just overlined on one side accidentally. And then on the other side, I went to overline, and I overlined too much. And now, like, my gosh. I look like I just did the glue trick where you hold up your lip. Oh my gosh. Okay, I think I fixed it. Okay, it doesn't look too bad. Okay, it still looks weird, but it's okay. Okay, I want that bow because right, like when it's not bowy, it just looks weird. I don't know. But I had one that once it set down, it was great. But it took so long to set down, and I'm like, I want a liquid lipstick that sets down the second it's done on my lip, like second I'm done putting it on my lips, so that I can keep drinking stuff, because I have to drink my water in the morning. I have a cup of hot chocolate sitting right here with me that I want to drink, but I have to wait a couple minutes, and it's like, it's gonna get cold by then, and I'm perfectly okay with cold hot chocolate. That's like one of my favorites. But the whole point is drink it while it's warm. Whatever. I hope you guys like this video today. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Ring that notification bell down below so you get notified when I upload the next video. I'm hoping to get new makeup soon. I saw Maybelline came out with their stack eyeshadows, and I'm very, very excited about those. I think there's going to be some new products coming out at the drugstore as well. There's also some stuff I'd like to check out that like is maybe older that I want to get more of. So stay tuned for that. I hope you guys like this one, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!